Hello friends, today I'm going to be talking about all the books that I would like to read in August. And this month I'm prioritizing the Faulkner in August readathon. There are a ton of hosts for this readathon, so I'm going to link them all below. But the first announcement video I saw was from Hannah from Hannah's Books, so I will also link to her video if you'd like to find out some more. But the pick for this year is As I Lay Dying, and it's going to be my first Faulkner, which I'm very excited about. And I've actually already started and I'm really enjoying the writing so far. So I'll just get right into it. So like I mentioned, the pick is As I Lay Dying. So this follows the odyssey of the Bundrain family as they are transporting their deceased matriarch to be buried in her hometown. So this is in the Southern Gothic style, and it is exploring the South but written in a modern style, and so it's made up of short chapters that switch perspective from different characters, and mostly made up of the Bundrain family, but then also from the point of view of outsiders, and it's written in the stream of consciousness style, and so things don't always initially make sense, but you very slowly get to know each of the characters. Each one has a very distinctive kind of voice, and so you're getting to know them as you see things from each one's perspective, and how they kind of interpret things, but also each other. And so it slowly comes together almost like a puzzle, though I get the sense that a lot is going to be left ambiguous and not cleanly laid out, which is great. I love that kind of thing. And so I love a book that slowly lets you get to know the characters that way and is definitely very character driven. And so the next one is one that Hannah suggested to pair with it because it is a kind of response to it, and it is Sing Unburied Sing by Jesmyn Ward. And this one is also inspired by Toni Morrison. And it's a road novel that follows a mother and her two children and a friend. And they are driving across Mississippi to a prison where her children's father has been released from prison. And there are unfortunate circumstances surrounding the family because the mother is addicted to drugs and she has visions of her deceased brother when she's high. And her children are being raised by their grandparents, but the grandmother is dying from cancer. And so it sounds like, you know, a tough but meaningful kind of read. And I'm interested to see how it ends up overlapping with As I Lay Dying. And then the next book is another suggestion from Hannah to read alongside As I Lay Dying because it is like an English answer to it. And it's Last Orders by Graham Swift, which I have read one other book by Graham Swift that I really enjoyed, and so I got really excited when I saw her mention this. So it's set in England and it follows four friends, I believe 3 or 4 friends, as they're trying to carry out their deceased friend's last wish to have his ashes scattered across the sea. So it should be interesting to see that different perspective from a different country, different culture. And so those are the books that I am most prioritizing for the month because they're for the readathon. But I've actually already finished an audiobook. I surprised myself by binging through it unintentionally. And the audiobook is Unspeakable, The Story of Junius Wilson by Hannah Joyner and Susan Birch. So this is co-written by Hannah from Hannah's Books. So this is the biography of Junius Wilson, who was a deaf black man who was institutionalized for 76 years in North Carolina after being deemed criminally insane. He had been accused of rape, but the accusation was false and he was never tried, and the medical staff that treated him knew that he was not insane and not mentally ill. So this is about his life and also the conditions that continually allowed for his unjust treatment. And it's a really multifaceted story because it does such a great job of contextualizing relevant historical and political events that happened throughout his life, so that as you're learning about his personal story, you're also learning the history of the Jim Crow South and also attitudes towards and the treatment of disabled and deaf people, and how those things painfully slowly improved over time. So it's a tough read, but it's really good, and I think it's important to read stories like this. It's the first biography I've actually read this year, and I've been really wanting to prioritize more nonfiction. I tend to read a lot of memoirs, but I'm trying to read more biographies, and so far I'm following through on that goal. And so after finishing that so quickly, I just kept wanting to listen to it. Any excuse I had, I would just listen to it. So I went through it pretty quickly. I didn't know what to go to next for an audiobook, but I ended up picking up James by Percival Everett, which has been so insanely hyped up that I kind of really wanted to wait. I don't love picking up books when they're so hyped. Before James came out, I've been really wanting to try something by Percival Everett, but hadn't yet, and I kind of wanted to try something other than James first, but you know, the FOMO got the better of me, and I'm in it now. And I'm enjoying it so far. I think most people will probably know that this is a retelling of Huckleberry Finn by Mark Twain from the point of view of Jim, or James. And the role reversal that Percival Everett creates is very interesting. It definitely gives a very different perspective to the story. And so, yeah, I'm excited to keep going with it. And then I also have some books that I started at the end of July and I'm carrying into August. And the first one is Women of the Harlem Renaissance, which you would have seen in my last book haul. And yeah, so this is made up of short stories, poems, and songs by Black women in the Harlem Renaissance. And they have themes of motherhood, womanhood. It discusses race and equality, and also more abstract themes of freedom, maybe to do with travel or even just the idea of freedom to do more and be more. There's a lot of variety in the writing styles in here, and there's also dialect, so I'm finding it really enjoyable. I don't know if I'll finish it in the month because, like I said, I'm really taking my time with it. But yeah, I'm so happy I picked it up so soon because so far it's really, really good. And then next I have my palette cleanser, which is The Trouble with Mrs. Montgomery Hurst by Katie Lumsden. So I also started this one at the end of last month, and it's so good. So this is written by Katie Lumsden from Books and Things on BookTube, and it's the story of a town. And so it starts out with the town finding out a bit of gossip that an eligible bachelor is going to be marrying an unknown woman, a widow with 3 children. So there are many families and characters in this story, and so far I can tell that it's going to have lots of class commentary and also discussions of money and privilege. And there's also some LGBTQ plus representation in here. So yes, I'm very much enjoying this so far, and it's a nice palette cleanser to have with some of the heavier topics that I'll be reading about this month. And so I'm noticing a strong trend of Southern experiences in my reading, and of course I mean black and white and any race. The Harlem Renaissance started in the North, so I know that's not Southern, but still it's Black women's perspectives and experiences. And so to keep the trend going, I would really love to maybe pick up Beloved by Toni Morrison, which is a book that I would really like to reread this year. And I think it would really fit into my reading this month. I love when books can sort of be in conversation with each other. I find the story for this a little hard to summarize, so I'm going to read a little blurb real quick. The story revolves around Seth, an escaped enslaved woman, and her haunted past. The ghost of Seth's dead daughter, known as Beloved, returns to haunt her. The novel explores the physical and mental trauma caused by slavery and how its lasting effects continue while free. So yeah, I'm really hoping that I can get to this this month. I might knock something else out to fit it in if I need to. And another book that I think would really fit in well with themes is Jack by Marilynne Robinson, which is the 4th and last book in the Gilead series. And so this follows Jack, a prodigal son returning home to Gilead, a fictional town in the South, in the 50s, and he is a white man who marries a black woman. And so definitely in keeping with my themes of the month. And it's a goal of mine to read this year, so if I can fit it in, that would be amazing. And the last book I'm going to talk about is another palate cleanser option, and it is Inuyasha, the fourth omnibus by Rumiko Takahashi. And it is a time travel adventure manga, and I love this series. I am rereading it, and it's really great. So yes, I hope I can get to this month as well. So I'm really enjoying that I ended up with such strongly defined themes in my reading this month, because that idea of what you're reading, feeling like it's in conversation, and I don't know, I feel like you end up getting even more from your reading. You feel this like momentum, and it's really fun. So I'm glad it turned out that way. I didn't really plan it. I just kind of noticed the trend and was like, ooh, let's keep going with it. I don't know if I'm being a little bit too ambitious with my TBR this month. It's kind of a lot of books for me, but I'm really excited about all of them. And so I'm feeling very motivated to try to get through as much of this list as possible. So wish me luck. But that's it. Those are all the books that I would like to read this month. So do let me know what book you're most excited to read this month, and I will see you next time. Bye.